All right, welcome back to the Olimoleague game number 4. It's the finals. This could be it. It's a best of 5. If Solar can win this game, he will take the 3-1 victory. Spawny in the top right, feeling confident as ever. He's had to fight against all sorts today. It's going to be Samsung Galaxy's Solar.
In the bottom left as the purple Zerg. It's Dead Pixels True.
I still think Gumio's set today was really great versus True. That was a fantastic TVZ, but I think Partying versus Solar takes the cake for me of the best match we cast. The finals has not been too bad for what a ZVZ is, and I love the aggressive ZVZs. I cannot stand the boring Roach versus Roach games. But if you guys are just tuning in, if you missed it, definitely take the time out of your day to go look up Solar versus Partying in the semifinals. It was fantastic and, more to the point, fun. But this map, Zomrio, what do you think? There's definitely some pros and some cons. What's your quick assessment of this game?
This game?
Yeah. I mean, do you think we see
well, nothing's happening right now.
Roaches to break down the rocks? I mean, what do you think? It's Expedition Lost. What's the likelihood we see them abuse the map?
20%. Wow.
Did you just do math, or is that just like a number out of your ass?
That's just a number out of nowhere. I don't know. I was pretty good with the 25%. And the last time you asked me for something, and I gave a number. I don't know what it was for, like, but whatever.
Who's gonna measure this up against, right? Like 10 years from now, someone takes the statistical data from, like, 3 years of casting and says, you know what? Zombie Girl was right. 24.95% was the accurate call.
You know what? Whatever, man. Whatever. It actually might be lower than 20%. I am thinking how many ZVZs we've seen on this map, and I don't think we've seen one abuse the back rocks.
No, and I keep hoping for the Roaches to do it, but yeah, it's mostly ZVTs we see that happen in.
Yeah. It's too bad too, because what we've seen so far is that despite there being so many potential pathways to run around the Overlord, if you push out the first Overlord and run around, you can avoid the main middle area. We still don't see the Zergs spreading the Overlords out too much. It's a lot of like stylistic choice. You have some Zerg players that just go all out, and if Mutas come, well then they're screwed. And you know, some people are just being really conservative and only have 2 Overlords out on the map scouting. But I really feel like there's possibilities of just not being scouted and going to those back rocks. But we don't see it.
Well, surprisingly passive so far. Call it that for now. It's just in comparison to the last 2 games, of course, but Solar might actually pick up an Overlord here. I think he should be able to pick this up at least. That's actually going to hurt a little bit, because if True was going for some sort of all in this game, this really eats into it. Not just 100 minerals, but the supply block right now is pretty perfect. If you were going to start flooding lings earlier than normal or anything like that, the supply block's going to kill you, but not for long. He does get another Overlord up. Good pick off in the early game, though. Overlord kills in ZVZs are so rare this early.
Yeah. Usually it's a mistake.
Or Spore Crawler.
That's true, or Spore Crawler, that's right. We do get a somewhat of a scout. Do those lings even scout the gases? Yeah, okay, they did.
Yeah.
You really didn't look at the scout of the bottom gas, but they did, so they saw that it was gasless, which is kind of funny. I mean, gasless, really? Yeah, you know, but that was his choice, man. And the Expedition Lost doesn't have the worst ramp to wall off, although that Creep Tumor would block off a full wall off. Oh well, true. True's hoping that doesn't happen, I guess. I
like this move out of Solar, though. Identifying this gasless. For those who don't maybe know the matchup so well, if you do decide to open gasless with Zerg, it gives you a much stronger defensive start, but usually you can't push, you can't control the map, you don't have speedlings out at the same time as Solar, so what Solar's going to be able to do is probably not kill the natural base. He's going to have speed over his opponent, which is huge, but this will give him the chance to kill a queen or 2, to control that third, and use his own third to accelerate his lead in the game. Now, it's not to say that True is screwed because of this. True could still play this out quite well, and a lot of the times we actually do see gasless tend to even out when it comes to the mid game, but early game is going to be Solar's game for sure.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, True, he could go for his own all-in. Actually, he's afraid of Solar. Seems unnecessary to be so afraid. Third Evo Chamber.
Actually, Did he never scout that third? No, sadly with the Overlord coverage down, he doesn't know that there's a third base down. So this kind of makes a little bit of sense.
He's probably guessing that there is, actually. It looks like what he's going to go ahead and do is go basically for... It's hard to call it all in, right? Because if he kills the third, then he makes his own third and the game goes on. But he's going to go for an attack that is looking to catch Solar off guard for having no Banelings. Because Solar was like, oh, gasless, he's not going to have any Banelings or speed. But actually, True does. And True's going to be able to maybe kill Solar's third.
Yo, that duck in there for a second was a big deal. He loses a lot of lings, but he sees just how many True has. If you duck in there and there's like 5 lings and a couple of queens, you're like, okay, as expected. But when you see what is 30 plus Zerglings, you know what's up. Now he starts making his own Banelings right away. He did get a nest behind this. His own third might be up for a contest, sure. But again, True doesn't necessarily know that's up. He'll check for it.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's a good guess, right? Like, that is the response to a gasless build. But if Solar can hold on to this, True's in a pretty bad spot. You know, the drone's actually ahead for Solar, and he's going to be down a complete hatchery. It's not that great. And he's not teching either.
He does move to take his own third while this goes on, so hopefully distraction tactics are his goal to stay alive in it. But all these Banelings, you got to watch out. Both players, that is. They're such incredibly important units, to say the least, when it comes to this quantity of Zerglings. But because Solar's playing defensive, he's not rushing across the map, but he does have roaches on the way. Now, sadly, 6 roaches probably can't contend with the amount of lings that True does have in play. But that's okay, because Solar, he's got his own Baneling support. He's got a couple of lings with this. His roaches, when normally they would get killed walking across the map, will have the support to march down to that third and possibly knock it down. True is trying to get his ranged weapon upgrades, and he is trying to transition into roaches eventually, but the focus is to try and kill Solar's third. And so far, that's a lot of pressure up here. True's got a lot of Banelings on that front line.
Yeah, but he's doing a good job just... You know, the ZVZ thing, right? Where you're attacking, but since they're defending, they're not droning, but you are. Just like, so you're like, oh my god, that attack didn't work. Where's his state of mind? Actually, it's pretty good. I mean, True's lair is only so far behind. He's gonna have double upgrades. His third is mining, and they're both on even drones. And actually, Solar had less even mining because he couldn't put his drones over to the third that easily or safely. So this does even out. They're both gonna have the exact same tech, but True might go into the mid game a little bit better, having those double upgrades.
Let's see here. On the other side, I mean, for it's I want to say this is going to be like a normal Roach War, right? But Solar's third, what was up earlier, it's not like he was mining off of it sooner.
Yeah.
So, yeah, decent hit, doesn't follow up to it. So, it kind of weirdly evens out. And this is kind of what I was hinting at earlier when you do have this mid-game. A gasless opener doesn't mean you're behind. A gasless opener just means you're slower to particular things. And because he did get this third up, True's in a pretty okay spot. For a long time, this looked very, very Solar-heavy, Solar-sided, but definitely not the case right now.
It really has evened up, and it's just it's going to be about those upgrades. We're going to see if they're going to come into effect for 1-1, which, as we always say, usually doesn't. Usually, like, the numbers went out there, but 2-2 over just like 2 can be very, very important. And we'll see if we get there. They're both at almost even drones, so it's a little bit farther up. That's okay. They're both at pretty even army supply, and they both know what tech they're on too, right? So having these overlords out for True is going to have good coverage until Hydras are out, which might take a while. We see some games where one person goes up immediately to Hydralisk. They feel comfortable enough to do so. And we see some games that do literally just stay on Roach versus Roach for 25 minutes.
Well, with the lings scattering, it's I mean, for both players, they've got pretty good army supplies. I guess the advantage definitely goes to True in favor of upgrades, specifically and especially the Carapace. I mean, being able to take a Baneling hit's a pretty big deal, but it's not lings that are really the fighting force. It's, what is it, 37 to 39 roaches.
Yeah. It's going to be about this concave, and so far Solar's the one moving into a concave. He has to be careful. He's clicking on True's units, was guaranteed, saying, okay, I'm down in upgrades. All right, maybe I got to be careful with how I take this engagement.
Yeah, 1-1 versus 1-0. Truthfully, it's definitely an advantage for the player with the upgrades, but not by a whole lot. That's the thing. This is not like having 10 extra roaches in your army, but it is a nice advantage to have. We do have a run-by setup around the left side of the map too, and Solar actually doesn't have a lot to defend with here. Those big, massive units. This is where it gets really hard to get ahead, of course, too. So getting a queen kill stops injects. Getting some drone kills eats economy. This run-by out of True is a really nice move.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to True's drones. Did he just? I guess he used them building stuff.
Yeah, he's actually not lost that many over the course of the
game. So he's down to 49, where I think he was like 53 or something before. But Solar has jumped up pretty far for that. But that just means that True's army is not pretty heavy.
Yeah, it's much bigger because the supply allows it. 63 roaches versus 52, but Defender's advantage, I feel very strongly, could make up that difference. Actually chooses to knock down those rocks and goes for the back door. This actually makes it even harder for Solar to respond to attack towards the third. And once again, we do have these links slipping in. Bentley's going to try and help clear this up, but as you see, they can definitely take some hits.
Yeah, with the Kerberos upgrade. Oh. Well, it's still at a situation where Solar's up by 10 drones. I'm not sure about remaking the drones that he lost either. Like, 60 is pretty good for ZVZ.
Yeah, but it's not like he's got the counter to know he's at 60. It's kind of a guesstimation. He's stuck on his ramp, takes a lot of really bad shots to start this engagement. 15 roaches is a hard number to overcome. He's in a concave. I think True's got this. This is so devastating.
Nope.
If Solar had been able to wrap around and hit simultaneously, maybe that's different, but completely blindsided. And in an instance, True ties up the series 1-1 and will take us to game number 5. He will give us